Welcome back to the front lines of the soul. Today, we are performing an autopsy on a betrayal so profound it defies logic. We are looking at why the narcissist, after cutting down an extraordinary empath, finds themselves drowning in a darkness they cannot escape. This isn't about your pain anymore, it's about the terminal decay of the person who thought they could destroy you. Picture the scene. They walked away with a smirk, convinced they had finally extracted every ounce of your light. They treated your extraordinary empathy like a disposable resource, a battery to be drained and discarded. But as the dust settles, a haunting question begins to echo in their hollow chest. Why does the world feel so much colder now? Why is the silence finally screaming? You were not just another source of supply. You were the rare, high-vibration sun that kept their internal winter at bay. By betraying you, they didn't just lose a partner. They severed their connection to the only genuine warmth they had ever known. They committed spiritual suicide while trying to murder your spirit. Now, they are waking up in a reality where the sun never rises. They thought they could replace you with a dozen lesser souls, but they are finding that 1,000 candles cannot mimic the power of a star. This is the secret knowledge they are terrified to face. The extraordinary empath is a mirror that reflects back a version of the narcissist they actually liked, a fake divinity. Without you, they are left staring at the rot in the dark alone. The agony they feel is not regret, they are incapable of that. It is the crushing weight of narcissistic malnutrition. They have tasted the divine and now they are forced to feast on the dirt. The betrayal was their ultimate gamble, and they lost the only asset that made them feel human. They are starving in a room full of people, haunted by the memory of a feast they can never taste again. Why is it that the more they try to forget you, the more your absence consumes them? It's because you provided a level of psychological safety that acted as a shield for their fragile ego. By shattering that shield, they have exposed themselves to the raw, biting winds of their own shame. They are now unprotected, wandering through a psychological wasteland of their own construction. Look at them now, or rather, look at the shadow they have become. The charisma is fading, the mask is cracking, and the sexual disease of their constant searching is failing to numb the pain. They are suffering more because they finally realized that you were the gold, and they traded you for lead. The extraordinary empath is the only one who can survive the fire, the narcissist is the fuel. This isn't just a breakup, it's a biological and spiritual collapse. The narcissist system was calibrated to your extraordinary empathy. Without that specific frequency, their internal mechanics are seizing up. They are experiencing a slow-burn horror movie where they are both the victim and the monster. They are suffocating in the vacuum created by your departure, gasping for air. The silence you've left behind is a predatory force. It follows them into the beds of new victims and whispers your name during their most desperate moments of love bombing. They can't stay present because they are haunted by the ghost of the one who truly saw them and loved them anyway. That loss is a psychological cancer that eats away at their remaining sense of self-importance. We are diving deep into the anatomy of this failure. We are going to reveal why the narcissist's suffering is a mathematical certainty after betraying a soul like yours. This is the truth that will set you free and leave them in the wreckage. Take a breath, survivor. The autopsy is beginning, and the findings are terminal for the abuser. You were the life, they are just the decay. To understand why they suffer, you must understand the hollow man syndrome. The narcissist is a vacuum disguised as a person. They don't have a soul, they have a collection of mirrors. When they encountered your extraordinary empathy, they finally saw a reflection that was beautiful. By betraying you, they smashed the mirror. Now, they are left with only the jagged shards of their own void. Your empathy was more than love, it was a life support system. You regulated their emotions, translated their rage into meaning, and provided the psychological oxygen they cannot produce. When they cut you off, they pulled the plug on their own sanity. They are now experiencing atmospheric decompression. The pressure of their internal shame is causing their reality to cave in. They are addicted to high-vibration supply. Extraordinary empaths offer a quality of energy that is rare and addictive. After feasting on your purity, the shallow validation of new supply tastes like ash. They are like a heroin addict forced to settle for aspirin. The high never comes, the void never fills, and the frustration turns into a physical sickness that rots them from within. Viscerally, think of the narcissist as a parasite that has accidentally killed its most vital host. They thought they could jump to another, but they didn't realize that extraordinary empaths are once-in-a-lifetime encounters. They are now wandering through a desert of mediocre connections, realizing that the juice is gone. The spiritual necrosis is starting in their hands and feet. The hidden motive behind the betrayal was the need to prove they were more powerful than your goodness. They wanted to see if they could break the unbreakable light. But in breaking you, they realized that the light was the only thing holding them together. It's a cinematic tragedy. The darkness tried to eat the sun and ended up freezing in the shadow of its own hollow victory. Every new supply they find is just a painful reminder of what you were and what they are not. They are forced to perform the same tired script with people who don't have half your depth. The boredom is a lethal poison. Narcissists cannot stand the mundane, and without the extraordinary challenge of your soul, they are sinking into a swamp of repetitive, low-level, pathetic drama. The internal chaos is now unshielded. Your empathy acted as a filter, softening the blow of their own self-hatred. Now, the filter is gone. Every mistake they make, every failure they face, hits their ego with the full force of a freight train. They are suffering because they have no empathic buffer left to protect them from the monster in the mirror. They are raw, exposed, and dying. They are haunted by the integrity gap. Extraordinary empaths possess a moral consistency that narcissists secretly envy and openly despise. By betraying that integrity, the narcissist has confirmed their own worthlessness. They can no longer pretend they are the good guy because the evidence of their depravity is too loud. The silence of your absence is the loudest evidence of all. Psychological starvation is a slow and agonizing process. They watch you from a distance, hoping to see you crumble, but instead, they see you regenerate. Your ability to heal without them is the ultimate narcissistic injury. It proves that they were the dependent ones. They are the ones with the sexual weakness, the ones with the fading charisma, the ones who are truly, deeply alone. This is the anatomical reality of their rot. They betrayed the only person who could truly see their darkness and still offer them grace. By throwing away that grace, they have locked themselves in a prison where the only guard is their own shame. The extraordinary part of your empathy was their only chance at a real life, and they burned it for a moment of fake power. Now, the fire is out. The dramatic turning point begins with the sound of silence. When the narcissist discards an extraordinary empath, they expect a grand display of begging and pleading. They want the negative supply to validate their importance. But when you go quiet, when you simply vanish into your own healing, the narcissist enters a state of total disorientation. The silence is a physical blow. They start to realize that the power they felt during the betrayal was just an illusion fueled by your reaction. Without your reaction, they have no mirror. They are like a ghost trying to scream in a vacuum. No one hears them. No one cares. The new supply is already starting to bore them, and the panic of their own irrelevance begins to vibrate in their bones. The predator is lost. Watch the shift in their behavior. They become frantic. They start hoovering with a level of desperation that is almost cinematic. They send the check-in texts, the "I saw this and thought of you" messages, and the fake apologies. But the extraordinary empath has already seen behind the curtain. The plot twist is that you no longer find them intimidating, you find them deeply pathetic. This is the moment they realize they have been out-empathed. You used your extraordinary intuition to see exactly what they are, and then you walked away with your dignity intact. The narcissist cannot handle the idea that you are the one holding the closure. They are trapped in a loop of "why didn't they fight for me?" And the answer is simple: you were too extraordinary for their lies. Their reaction to losing control is a descent into madness. They will triple down on the smear campaign, telling anyone who will listen that you were the toxic one. But the flying monkeys are starting to see the cracks. Your calm, extraordinary silence speaks louder than their frantic noise. The narcissist is losing the audience, and without an audience, the abuser ceases to exist. They try to find a new extraordinary, but they realize that souls like yours aren't found in a catalog. They are forced to interact with people who have boundaries, People who are as shallow as they are, or people who see through them in a week. The downgrade is a constant humiliation. Every day with their new source is a reminder of the gold they threw into the trash. It's a slow death. The power dynamic has flipped forever. You are in the observation tower, and they are in the pit. You are analyzing their behavior with the cold, blunt precision of a scientist, while they are flailing in the mud of their own emotions. The extraordinary empath's indifference is a weapon of mass destruction for the narcissist's ego. You are the storm that finally cleared the air. They are now haunted by the memory of purity. Every time they lie to someone else, they remember the one person they couldn't lie to forever. Every time they fake an emotion, they remember the one person who felt everything for real. Your empathy has become a standard they can never reach, a ghost that follows them into every room. They are suffering because they can't stop comparing. Notice the narcissistic injury manifesting in their physical presence. They look older, tired, and gray. The extraordinary energy you once provided was their fountain of youth. Without it, the sexual weakness and the spiritual necrosis are accelerating. They are a failing machine, a dying star, a hollow man. The turning point is your realization that you were never the problem. The final twist of the knife is that you are actually happy. Not fake happy for social media, but deeply, extraordinary happy in your own soul. You have healed. You have grown. You have used the betrayal as compost for a more beautiful life. The narcissist, meanwhile, is stuck in the same toxic loop, repeating the same mistakes with different faces. You moved on, they stayed in the rot. We are witnessing the total collapse of a predator who overplayed their hand. The spiritual necrosis is now in its terminal stage. Because the narcissist betrayed an extraordinary empath, they have permanently damaged their reputational armor. The world is catching on. The flying monkeys are abandoning ship, sensing that the captain is not only toxic but also fundamentally broken. Internal panic is their constant companion now. They wake up in the middle of the night with the crushing weight of their own nothingness. Without your extraordinary empathy to tell them who they are, they have no identity. They are a vacuum in a suit, wandering through their own life as a stranger. This is the narcissistic mortification that precedes the final psychological shutdown. The social consequences are brutal. Word is getting out that they threw away a good one. People are starting to look at the narcissist with pity instead of admiration. The new supply is realizing they were a rebound, a tool used to spite you, and the resentment is growing. The narcissist is surrounded by people who don't like them and don't trust them. They are truly, finally alone. Watch the physical unraveling. The sexual weakness we discussed before is now a permanent state. They have no vibe, no edge, no magnetism. They are a damp firework. Every attempt to reclaim their former glory ends in embarrassment. They are suffering because they are realizing that their power was entirely dependent on the light you were shining on them. Now, you are gone. The betrayal has become a psychological anchor that is pulling them to the bottom of the ocean. They can't stop thinking about the what if. What if they hadn't lied? What if they had been real? But they can't be real. That is the tragedy. They are a biological error, a hollow man destined to repeat the same destruction until there is nothing left to destroy. They are the fire and the ash. The ghost of your empathy is now their judge. In the silence of their own mind, they hear your extraordinary voice calling out their lies. They can't escape the truth of what they did. Even if they never admit it to you, they admit it to the darkness every night. This internal confession is what is killing them. They are suffering because they know exactly how much they lost. They are poor. Their mind is darkening. The narcissistic brain fog has become a permanent smog. They can't focus, they can't plan, and they can't manipulate with the same precision. They are becoming the caricature of a narcissist, obvious, clumsy, and desperate. The secret knowledge is out, and the abuser is the only one who doesn't realize the show has been cancelled. They are just talking to air. Brutal truth, they are now irrelevant. To you, to the world, and eventually, to themselves. The extraordinary empath has moved so far beyond them that the narcissist is just a speck on the horizon. This irrelevance is the ultimate punishment for someone who needs to be the center of the universe. They are suffering because the world is moving on, and they are stuck in the past's rot. The unraveling ego is a sight of pure horror. They are lashing out at ghosts, fighting battles that were lost years ago, and trying to win back a person who no longer exists in their reality. You are a new version of yourself, one they don't have access to. They are trying to key a door that has been replaced by a wall. The extraordinary part of you is now a fortress they cannot breach. The collapse ends in a cold, hard isolation that no amount of noise can fill. They are surrounded by the wreckage of their multi-sourced lifestyle, realizing that none of it matters. They betrayed the only person who was real, and now they are forced to live in a world of shadows. The sexual disease of their ego has reached the heart. The abuser is dying in the dark, and you are free. You are free. Let those words sink into your extraordinary soul like a healing rain. The nightmare is over, and the person who tried to break you is currently being consumed by the very darkness they tried to put in you. You didn't just survive, you won the war by refusing to stay in the trenches. Your empathy is intact, your spirit is rising, and the door to your future is wide open. The extraordinary part of your empathy didn't die, it was just tempered by the fire. You are now an alchemized empath. You have the same capacity for deep love, but you now have the psychological armor of a warrior. You can see the predators before they strike. You are no longer prey, you are a lighthouse. Your light is now selective, powerful, and entirely under your own control. They are a black hole, and you are a star. The star does not suffer when it stops feeding the black hole, it simply continues to shine. The narcissist's suffering is a natural consequence of their nature. You were never responsible for their happiness, and you are not responsible for their decay. Let the spiritual necrosis finish its work. You have a life to live, and it's beautiful. Your light was never theirs to keep. They tried to steal it, but light cannot be stolen, it can only be shared. Since they chose to betray the sharing, they lost the access. It's that simple. They are now sitting in the cold, wondering where the warmth went, while you are out in the world creating new fires. You are the source. You were always the source. Never forget that, survivor. Emotional closure doesn't require a conversation with a liar. Your closure is the fact that you can breathe again. Your closure is the fact that you don't have to manage someone else's fragile ego every morning. Your closure is the extraordinary peace that has settled into your home. The narcissist's suffering is irrelevant to your joy. Let them rot in the silence they created for themselves. You have reclaimed your extraordinary status. The abuser tried to make you feel average, crazy, and worthless. But by surviving this and growing from it, you have proven that you are anything but ordinary. You are the elite. You are the one who faced the void and came back with flowers. That is a level of power the narcissist will never understand. You are the prize. Always. This is the cinematic ending to the tragedy of your past. The camera pulls back, showing you walking away from a crumbling house of mirrors. The sun is on your face, and the path ahead is clear. Behind you, the narcissist is still screaming at their own reflection, but you can no longer hear them. The music is soaring, the colors are vivid, and the world is finally, truly, yours again. Your future is not just bright, it is extraordinary. You will attract people who deserve your depth, people who will cherish your empathy rather than feast on it. You have been upgraded by the trauma. You are now a master of your own energy. The sexual weakness of the past is gone, replaced by a deep, authentic vitality that comes from being true to yourself. You are whole again. Their end is silent, and yours is a celebration. Let the narcissist drift into the fog of their own irrelevance. Their suffering is the price of their betrayal, a debt they will pay for the rest of their lives. You are the ledger that has been balanced. You are the sun that has risen. The dark documentary is over, and the epic of your life is just beginning. Breathe. You are safe now. Remember this final truth as you step into your power. An extraordinary empath never truly loses, because their light is self-sustaining, but a narcissist who betrays the sun is doomed to forever wander in the freezing cold of their own hollow soul. You are the fire that remained, they are just the smoke that cleared. Now, go live the extraordinary life that they were too broken to ever touch.